How's it going, eh? So today I've got a Factorio video. Now, there's going to be a bit of a narration at the start. It's kind of the previous style I was doing. However, I want to progress towards a more, I'm playing the game, I'm doing this, in a sort of live moment rather than is like a afterthought and narration and storytelling. Now, those I will still do sometimes, but I'm just thinking for the practicality of editing and sort of what I want to do, I think that will just work better. So for this video, we're going to have a small narration part to sort of catch up on what I did before I did that, before I was actually like, okay, I'm going to do this and that and sort of explain what I'm doing. I have about 2 minutes of narration, and then we'll have a couple minutes of actual gameplay, and yeah, enjoy. So, starting off, here are some beautiful trees that I had planted to help absorb this pollution. It works well, but boy is it ugly. I kind of regret that. I then headed over to the Bronto iron deposit so I could up the iron production in the base, because it was getting kind of low. I decided that the best method of transportation would be compacting the ore and transporting it by belts. By doing this, I wouldn't have to mess around with any belt balancers either, as they would look quite ugly. I then had to figure out how to get the iron into the base. I forgot to mention, but I reinforced the walls with trees, and I also regret that. I got the iron into the base and started to design the smelters that I would use to turn the ore into usable material. I actually came up with a pretty slick design that would allow me to put a third of the iron into steel production, but I realized that before I could do that, I needed to produce coal coke, as it was a needed ingredient in steel. By making coal coke, I was also extending the effectiveness of my coal by almost doubling it. All I needed was some more wood. Wood is basically free, all it requires is water and a little bit of power, and it would change my coal from providing 6 megajoules of energy up to 10 megajoules of energy. Quite the improvement for something that is relatively free to do. Here is this slick design I had mentioned earlier. I also went around and picked up all the coal in the base so that the more effective coal coke could replace it as a fuel source for other areas. I would then place this coal back into the system where it's made into coal coke, further extending any existing coal I already had on my belts. I began to work on a secondary mall that had the additional advantage of steel and more iron, so I could make more advanced structures. I then decided that I would want a more clean build of a base, so I started building a sort of grid that I could center the base on. I began moving the resources from the fortress over to this new area so that I could begin building here. Then, I started building some factories thinking I would put all of these items on the bus, when in reality, that was going to be very hard. Because belts have 2 sides, I was thinking I could have a different item on each side of the belt, but realistically this creates a lot of issues when trying to pull an item off the belt. And if it becomes more complicated, then it kind of defeats the purpose of having a main bus to begin with, because then that simplicity and that ease of access starts to become redundant. So here is the final sort of circuit design for now. We have iron and copper sort of coming up from our main bus, and that's going to be merged together on one belt. It is going to run underneath the assemblers. It's going to get pulled off the iron using a long hand inserter, and then we will have the copper ingots or plates being put into the assembling machine, where it is then turned into the wire, and then it's pulled out because one wire machine supplies 2 circuit machines. And then all we're missing is the wood, and then when that's done, it will be placed on this belt, which will run it back into the system. The thing is that we do not have wood in our system, so we could either pull it from up here, which would sort of interfere with our petroleum coke production, although we're not using it a lot right now, so we could do that, or we would just have to make a new sort of greenhouse setup. I just split it in here, and I run it down to come join our magnificent main bus. I have the circuits coming in, and now my next plan is to make a new mall using these resources. So I'm actually going to remove these items, these 2 belts here, these 3 belts from the main bus. I'm going to run them over to the top corner of this area, and then I'll bring down any resources that are necessary, and then try to make an area where we're making like our assemblers and all our types of inserters and belts and so forth and so on. Basically, I've got to make a new power solution because we are running out of power. And the way this coal stuff works is we have to put the coal into the boiler and then feed it water. So coal has a or this coal coke has a 225% increase on the pollution that gets made. So it goes from making 20 pollution per per minute or whatever to actually 45 pollution per minute, and it consumes our coal. So I've designed a setup so that we can have our wood. We can make wood. So essentially only with water, we are making power, water and space and other resources. So I'm going to set this up, probably duplicate this 4 times upwards, and then we will get about 100 megawatts. The boilers are way more efficient because each boiler is also being consumed by the -5 pollution. So we're actually getting -10 per boiler on this. So that's from 45 per boiler to 10 per boiler. And then we don't even have to use coal for this. Kind of like just using solar panels that make pollution. It's kind of nice. So before I could actually do this, I do need to, because of my placement, I need to get some landfill up here to cover up some of this water. And I'm also going to need walls to sort of encapsulate this whole thing here with walls so we don't get attacked by biters. I have a bit of a turret pattern. It's right here. I can put like 2 inserters for 4 turrets and then run a belt through this crack, and that's what I'm going to do. Then all I have to do is, I don't know, like hook this ammo up. I could probably just remove this wall and then let the ammo run through here. So I could repeat this 4 times. We'll get 100 megawatts. But before we do that, I need stone like really badly, as you usually do at the start of a game. So I'm just kind of building up some foundation. What's it called? Landfill. And I'm getting a couple walls set up here, and this is getting roughly 15 per second stone. So I've turned some of these off here because this is set up to consume 15 per second stone, and I'm just letting it kind of pass through so we can get lots of stone, and then we will get this landfill, sort of prioritize this landfill. And then whenever we have this nice and set up, I will go and do this the normal way, where it will basically prioritize 7.5 stone for this belt per second, which is the thing we need the most right now. And then when the stone isn't needed, then we're going to get this sort of stone like ore, not the bricks. So then, yeah, I guess I would probably at some point should find more stone, but I got pretty scammed. There's some stone over there. It looks like it would actually be a decent size, but I know there's lots of biters over there, and as well there are lots of biters. There's gonna be a good chunk of biters over here. I don't know if it's lots, but this stone sucks. It's 2.3 million, but it sucks, so I'm not gonna grab that. We're just gonna chill with this over here and work on this for the time being. So then I'm gonna basically finish this whole thing, and I will show it off. Our power station, our new one, is done. It is about yay big. It's like twice the size of our original base just for the power. It should be significantly better. So for some numbers here, well, that's weird. It's using wooden barricades apparently. There's a very tiny wood deficit, and that's just because we're using burner inserters and they're taking the tiniest bit more wood than the farms can provide. But that shouldn't play a problem. If it does, I'll just have to upgrade them, I guess, to the yellow inserter. Apparently we're minus water. I don't know if that's actually true. I think I might just not have captured all of the pumps on the side. Let's try this again. No, we're good on water. And yeah, that's good. So for pollution, it's, it would output 2,000 pollution per minute. But it's actually doing half of that amount because of all of our greenhouses there. They are, like, if we just completely ignore these trees, they are literally doing half. Like, so they're -5 on each greenhouse, and each boiler has 2 greenhouses supplying it with wood. And because they're so close together, it literally cancel out half of its pollution. As far as electricity goes, our net is about 115. So we lose quite a bit to maintaining the greenhouses. I have a couple lights in there, but I don't think they really matter. The pumps are pretty small. Everything's pretty small. The large amount of greenhouses take up a fair amount of megawatts. And then we have some inserters for the turrets, but that's a different story. So it's basically 100 megawatts, which is pretty solid, I think, for this point in the game. Like I think we could basically use this to get us all the way to solar panels at this point. So I could just remove this now, which is only producing 20 megawatts roughly for this whole power setup right here. So I could just tear it down because it's making a lot of pollution. I think it's making 720 pollution, and it makes like 1/5 of the thing. It's just crazy. Oh wow, that's a interesting bug I just found there. All right, so there you have it. That's our video. Thanks a lot for watching. Show your support in the ways that you want to, and give your feedback. I'd prefer to do the videos like I did sort of in the second half or so. I know it doesn't have like a lot of music and stuff, but I don't know if like music really fits this game that much, to be honest. I do have a bit of an issue where My game sound is pretty quiet. So like I don't have like any music, and sort of the ambient space is pretty quiet. So I'll probably try to like in the future improve that. Probably pretty far in the future, to be honest. Maybe I'll just try raising the game volume. But yeah, so I want to do them more kind of like in the latter half. Do more. I'm sitting down, playing the game, doing the thing, right? I will just record some intros and outros for you guys. Maybe talk about what we do in the videos, and yeah, I think I'll just do that for Factorio specifically, of course. So thanks for watching. Yeah, see ya.